The Pokemon Prof Oak challenge is the most difficult and particular challenge one can ask for. But what is it? To basically summarize it to you, you have to catch every Pokemon available to you before the league. Sounds pretty easy, right? Well, not really. In this challenge there are rules, and these rules makes this challenge so difficult. The first one is the fact that you cannot go to the next gym without catching every Pokemon available to you and evolving them. The second one, and the most obvious one, is the fact that you cannot cheat. You cannot give yourself rare candies because it will go against the challenge. For this to be more clear with you guys, there will essentially be 6 levels in this Pokemon game that makes this challenge so difficult. First off, the level 1, the beginning. At the beginning of every Pokemon game, you have to pick one Pokemon from 3 starters. Generally, these 3 starters have very low experience level, which means that they level up much faster since they need less experience to evolve. And essentially, out of the 3 starters, there's at least one that stands out in this category. But in this gen, no one does. Everyone has the approximate same level. Therefore, I just picked Mudkip because he learns a lot of moves that have a lot of power points, which is the main issue in these types of games. We went on the usual where we fought and destroyed May, got the Pokédex, and we were off to our adventure. We first caught 1 Poochyena, 2 Wurmples, and 2 Zigzagoons. Zigzagoons have the pickup ability, which let them pick up an item when you are walking. And these items can be very useful: healings, Pokeballs, items that you can sell on the Pokémarch to get more healings, because in these types of challenges at every beginning of every new level, your Pokemons will not be able to one-shot the Pokemons. Therefore, they will need a lot of healings for the fights. But also, and most importantly, Zigzagoons, when evolved at level 31, has a rare chance to find a rare candy, an item that lets you level up your Pokemon directly instead of wasting 10 minutes to level it once. I was dumb enough to not take 5 Zigzagoons at the beginning. We then went out to catch Wingull, Route, Lotad, and Seedot. And on Route 104 we caught Tailo and Meryl, but also Shroomish and Seikop. And for the last route, we caught Whismur, Nincada, Abra, and Skitty, and our challenge was ready to start. In this game there are certain routes that gives much more experience than others. For example, in this case it is the Rust of Tunnel, which has Whismurs, and it gives much more experience than, let's say, Route 101, which has Poochyenas. We started to train our little muddy boy in this. It is pretty much straightforward. You find a Whismur, you beat it, and you rinse it. Some tips for you guys is to have an Abra in your team, because you are very far away from the Poké Center, and as previously mentioned, power points, aka PPs, are the most crucial thing in this game. You don't care about all of this crap because as soon as possible you're gonna one-shot every Pokemon, so why be smart? There are multiple challenges you will face at every new level. In this level, it is not particularly the Pokemon level that is annoying, no, it is the Pokemons that don't know any moves, such as Abra, Seedots, and Routes until it learns Confusion, because that means that you're going to switch Pokemons to evolve them. And I know what you're thinking, but Pulus, the main issue here is the fact that you need thousands of experience while you're only getting 50 while killing with Whismur. You're right, but it is more about a patience test, because while you're doing that you can do something else, such as, I don't know, watching, subscribing, liking, and sharing my videos, for example. But if you have to switch Pokemons, then you're gonna more focus on the game rather than what you're doing besides it. And finally, the hardest challenge that I personally faced was, as previously mentioned, the experience group. In Pokemon there are 6 experience groups, and what are they? The first one is the fast one. It is basically in the name. It is very fast to evolve a Pokemon. It is generally for Pokemons that are babies or starters, such as Pichu. Then there's the medium fast, which is basically the standard rate for an experience rate. And then there's the medium slow. The medium slow is just as in the name. It is slower than the 2 last ones, but faster and not comparable to the 2 next ones. The erratic one. The erratic basically means that at the beginning, your Pokemon is going to level up much faster, but in the end it's going to level up much slower. And then the opposite one, which is fluctuating, it is basically the fact that at the beginning it's going to be much slower for you to evolve your Pokemon, and at the end much faster. In this level, there are a lot of medium fast groups, which is great. But there is one slow Pokemon, Sleika, which is very annoying when you're leveling it up to level 5 to 7 Whismurs when you need it to get to level 36. Is there anything to do to speed the process other than Zigzagoons? Well, yes, there is, for you, the viewers, not me. You can speed up your game if you're using an emulator, which obviously makes the game much faster, but I cannot do it. I did it sometimes. But why can't I do it? I did some tests, and it turns out that when I'm spinning the game for 2 minutes, for example, it is going to take 5 minutes into the game's considered duration, which means that it is going to falsify the time, and it's not why we're here, are we? But finally, after 28 hours and 32 minutes, I was finally able to evolve every Pokemon and finally beat Roxane. I'm not going to talk about the fights because my Pokemon's being massively over leveled. I watched out all of the Pokemon for almost every gym. Then came level 2, the new beginning. In this part of the level, we are going to cover 2 gyms, which means we have a lot of ground to cover from, the Mobile City and the Dewford Island. We first got the fishing rod from the fisherman in Dewford Island to catch Magikarp, Tentacool and Goldeen, and then went on to the Granite Cave to catch Zubat, Makuhita, Geodude, Sableye and Aran. We then took on the boat to Stateport City to catch Plusle, Minun, Electrike, Aldish and Gulpin. And finally, Illumise and Volbeat. This level made our challenge become much easier. Why? Because next to Mobile City, there is the daycare, and for the people who doesn't know how the daycare works, it is very simple. You leave 2 Pokemon there. They can have an egg, depending on their egg type. It's too much blah blah, and most importantly for us, every time you take 1 step, this is 1 experience for the Pokemon. But also, that is not it. In this part of the level, we get the XP share, an item that allows you to have the XP that you get from a Pokemon and give it to the one wearing it. Which means that now we're not gonna train 1 Pokemon, we're gonna train 4 at once. In these types of challenges, it is obviously very normal for these types of things to happen. The more you progress in the story, the more possibilities you have, therefore it gets easier. However, this does not mean that this challenge became super easy. No, this only means that it became more accessible to you guys. But also, the more we progress, the more challenges we were going to encounter. And in this level, we had many challenges. Because the more we progress, the more gap there's gonna be between our Pokemons and the Pokemons in front of us. Which means that now we cannot yet train into the higher routes. Because Pokemon such as Tentacool, Zubat, Magikarp, Geodude and much more are way too bad to go and train to the Route 114. And this is more than half of the Pokemon that we have to evolve. Another challenge, and this is actually for every level, is the chance of finding a Pokemon. In a lot of these routes, you have a very low percentage of finding a Pokemon. Most of the times it is 1 to 2%. And in this level, there were 2. There were Volbeat and Plusle. For Plusle, our Oddish evolved, and Gulpin greatly leveled up before finding an Oddish. And for Volbeat, well, I mean, Volbeat was in Route 114, the one that is next to daycare, next to a Poké Center, basically the golden route for most of the challenge. So we were bound to happen to see him, so it was not that much of a trouble. But that was pretty much all of the challenges that we had yet to face. And thanks to what we had now, in only 45 hours, we were able to go and beat the 2 gyms. Then came the 3rd level, the easy level. This part will also take on a good portion of the map. Where we caught Nosepass in the Granite Cave back there, we were using Rock Smash. In the Fire Path, I caught Grimmer, Torkoal, Koffing, Slugma and Machop. And then I caught Seviper, Skarmory, Swablu, Spinda, Solrock and Gloom in the Meteor Falls. In this part of the game, we finally start to discover the 2 antagonists in this game, the Aqua Team and the Magma Team. And they both have their own goal. Well, one is to increase the sea level of the region, the other one is to decrease the sea level of the region. But why does it matter to the challenge? Why it doesn't? I just think that you need some story game into the video, but also it kind of does, but we're gonna see that later on. In this part of the challenge, we had a ton of trainers to work on. And if you do not know, trainers are the best to XP level, because even if you have, for example, a 21 Zubat wild encounter and a 21 Zubat trainer encounter, the trainer is gonna give you more XP. And this is made on purpose, so that it encourages you, the player, to encounter more trainers. And that is great for me. And finally, we proceeded to catch Spoink and Wynot, that we stole from an egg from an old lady, because why not? But also, it is in this part of the game that I understood how dumb and uneducated I was. Because do you remember in the beginning of the video when I recommended you guys to have 5 Zigzagons and I didn't? Well, that is when I understood their superiority. And that is when I decided also to train my own Zigzagons into Linoons to level 31, because that's when they are able to catch rare candies. Because I also didn't know that. I thought that it was just like Pokemon Sapphire where it would just drop randomly. However, the level, although it is called the easy level, doesn't mean that it's easy at all. It's just that it's easy easier than the rest of them. Because you see, in this level, you have to have a Sunstone to evolve a Pokemon, and to get that Sunstone, you have to drop it from a Soul Rock. It's not that bad. I mean, Soul Rocks have a 20% chance of encounter, but that's it. It took me 2 hours. Because I forgot to mention to you guys that Soul Rock only has a 5% chance of having a Sunstone, which takes time. Other than that, there weren't any new challenges. If you had the 5 Zigzagoons, as I told you guys to do it at the beginning of the video, you would have a much less time than me, which is 58 hours to beat Flannery. And now we're on to the next level. Is this the end? I cheated. In fact, you could argue that this challenge is over. But why? I didn't know that I shouldn't have fought Brawly after Roxane. I thought it made perfect sense for me to get the second badge right after the first badge. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know that I could go past Watson without defeating Brawly. But I could. And for people that don't understand what's happening right now, as you all know, if I can avoid the gym to the last second, then I should do it. But this time I didn't. So what does this mean? That the challenge is over? No. Because it was an honest mistake. I didn't know, and it was dumb of me for not being informed enough. That's right, I admit it. But it was an honest mistake. Now we take on easily the hardest part of the game. This part makes you sweat. The one that truly tests your patience. We have to catch 5 Pokemons. Yeah, that's it. We have to go to the desert and catch 5 Pokemons. Cacnea, Sandshrew, Baltoy, Trapinch, and take a fossil. You have 2 fossils in the desert. The Lilip one and there's the Unearthed one. Which one should you pick and why? You should definitely pick the Unearthed one. Because it is more of an offensive Pokemon, therefore his move pool is much better than the Lilip one. In this part there weren't any new challenges. I mean, yeah, at the beginning I had to switch for Linoone for certain Pokemons, but that was it and that's not new. But what does this mean? We only had to catch 5 Pokemons now, so does this mean that we are close to the end? Yeah, that's what we're gonna see in the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the level 4. Oh boy. After beating our dad, the Weakling's dad, the one that we crushed his dreams, but I helped him catch a Pokemon, who came by and gave us the HM Surf. That's pretty great, right? Well, you see, this map is entirely made of water, which means once you know how to swim, almost all of the entirety of the map is available to you. And when you look at the guide that I used with it, yeah, even with the guide I f***ed this up. Okay, don't judge me. You can see that it seems fucking terrifying, as it should be. But it isn't, to one exception. Feebas. Whoever thought about Feebas and how to catch it, taught Satan how to torture people. You see, you have to catch this Pokemon in this 400 tiles pond. Fair enough, it's not that bad, even if it had a 1% chance of catching it, right? Well, that's the fun part. It has a 60 to 80% of fishing it. Well, Pulos, this seems cool, so why are you complaining then? Well, you see, you little man who's not a nerd to know this, there are only 6 tiles where he can spawn, and these tiles? They are random, which means no calculation, nothing will help you to find him. Which means that out of these 400s, there is only 6 tiles, and also you have to catch him first, you have to fish him. Which means that you have to fish in that tile at least 3 times before making sure that there are no Feebas here. And that is if you fish a Pokemon, because it is not certain. It took me around 80 to 90 tiles to find him, but at last we finally found him, and honestly it was a magical moment. This was easily the hardest part of the whole challenge. This was pure patience. You couldn't do something else because you had to have the reflex to fish the Pokemon, and also, well, you had the dedication to find him. By the way, a quick French lesson. Fils de pute means subscribe to my YouTube channel, you silly little fils de pute. Oh, by the way, for Feebas, the grind doesn't stop here, because you have to evolve it. And for him to evolve, you have to turn this monstrosity into a beautiful Pokemon. And how do you do that? You bake cakes. I'm not kidding. This is Pokemon, which is also a very frustrating grind. And this Pokemon is the sole reason why I wouldn't recommend it to you to start this challenge in this Pokemon. You better go like to Pokemon Fire Red or Pokemon Platinum. You'll have much more fun there. Well, fun is a big word, but you know. Another challenge in this section is the fact that you have to walk the entire map by foot. You cannot use Fly. You have the HM Fly, but you cannot use it. But why? Simply because I learned my lesson against Brawly. I can and I should avoid the 6th badge, and the 6th badge is the one that allows you to use the HM Fly. If I had to summarize it to you, it is basically just like when you were a kid and faking being sick, and your mother told you to not go to school. But you can't play video games. That is the exact same feeling. It was challenging to go from one side of the map to the other, to the daycare, to the firestone, to the waterstone. It was challenging and frustrating. But other than that, there weren't any other challenges. I thought it actually went really fast, although it took me 20 hours to beat it. Because by unlocking the entirety of the map, you unlock a ton, and I mean a ton of trainers to work with. Which means grinding is much faster, and I counted. There is approximately 126 trainers to work with, which is a ton as I said it before. But the cherry on top of the cake is the fact that every Pokemon is at least level 25, to some exceptions obviously, and most of these Pokemons only level up to like level 30, 31, 36, and some to level 45, which isn't even that bad. So overall, it was a great experience and it was really refreshing. But not only for the trainers who made it pass so quickly, there were also the baddies. The Aqua and Magma team. I mean, the baddies are more the Aqua team because the admins, whew, admins more like add me on top, which gave me also a ton of trainers to work with. And by the end of all of these trainers to work with, I only had a handful of Pokemon to evolve naturally. Overall, I have to say that this is a part of the level, if you're not counting that motherfucking bitch, was pretty fun. And in 92 hours, I was finished with the level 4 and came the level 5. This is the level 5, the Dusk. In this level, you could feel it was the end, because there weren't a lot of Pokemon to catch, and most of them, they were legendaries. We had to catch Clamperl, Chintu, and Relicanth. And then to evolve Staryu, Lombre, and Nuzleaf, we had to get stones. But we cannot buy them or find them in the ground. So what does this mean? Does this mean that we cannot evolve them? Sadly no, there is a grind for us to have. We can learn a Pokemon to pickpocket items from other Pokemons. And how does that help us? Well, first of all, it's fucking cool. And second of all, Relicanth and Clamperl can give the shards that we need, and the item that we can trade for evolution stones. Clamperl can give us the blue shards, which gives us the water stone, as you guessed it, and Relicanth can give us the green shards. Can you guess which one it is? Obviously the leaf stones. I'm not gonna give you time to answer this shit. After a while I was able to get all the shards required. It wasn't that bad, as I said. One shard equals one stone, so you know, we only needed 3 shards, so it's okay. But then came the 3 Regis. Oh boy. There are 3 main reasons why this was so hard. My stupidity, the map, and their catch rate. First, let's talk about the map. The map is really massive, we already run over that path, I cannot fly, blah 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 blah. And the 3 Regis, they are very far away from each other, and since I've already beaten every trainer that I could, the only possibility for me to maximize this thing was to rebattle trainers, and I didn't even need to, so basically it was just me running around the map, trying to get from one Regis to the other Regis to the other Regis, and that was it. As a matter of fact, I could just show you guys me running around the map, where I'm talking about why I'm dumb and the problem of the catch rate, and that would be it, but that would be way too boring. So then came the catch rate. After some research, I noticed that the 3 Regis have a 2.83333% catch rate with an Ultra Ball, which is very low. And the better for the last, my stupidity. Twice. Against Regirock, I forgot to bring balls. Well, I had only a few, and I had one wonderful ball that you do not want to send into the wild, that's what she said, the Master Ball. And since they're very low catch rate, and also the fact that I didn't have any balls, I was forced to use the Master Ball, which was very inconvenient and very annoying. And then came my second time that was dumb as fuck, because you see, in emulators, you can save whenever you want, and I'm pretty sure that you guys already saw me saving during the games, and that is completely normal. That was a reflex that I had in Cameroon and that I kept because of electricity problems. So when you think about it, that meant that I could just save and send balls infinitely until I caught the Pokemon. I didn't. I decided to use the Master Ball as a fucking dumbass. And that was why I was dumb as fuck, and that was it. But after all of this trouble, we were finally able to continue to the story and catch our big bad snake, Rayquaza. But first, let me explain to you very briefly what happened in the story. The Aqua team who decided to control the big bad whale, and the Magma team who decided to catch the big bad Godzilla who can control drought and the earth, they decided to diss each other, and it turns out that literal humans cannot control literal gods, and they decided to create chaos until death tears them apart. So that was a big oh. So a silver hair comes by and tells me to go into a cave. In that cave, someone tells me to go into the sky pillar. When I get there, I see a big bad snake that can control the freaking ozone layer of the earth, and he goes and shouts at the big bad whale and the big bad Godzilla, and that was it. I think I should become a movie critic, don't you think? So after all of this, I was finally able to catch Rayquaza. And with a level 70 Rayquaza that has Thunderbolt, I don't think I need to tell you guys the outcome of the gym. Then came the level 6. The end. In this level, we were able to use and get the HM Waterfall, which unlocked the last places that we had in this map, which is the Meteor Fall and the Victory Road. I know what you're gonna say, haven't we already discovered Meteor Fall? No, actually, we haven't fully discovered it, and there is one single Pokemon that we haven't gotten there. The one, the only, the beautiful, the majestic Salamence. He is my second favorite Pokemon, and yeah, you don't catch him as a Salamence, you catch him as a Bagon, but then you're going to evolve it. And why is it my second favorite Pokemon? Well, thank you for asking. Absolutely nobody asked. But anyway, it's my video, I say what I want to say, so deal with it. It is my second favorite Pokemon because in one of my previous videos he carried us, and that's when I discovered his superiority. And finally, the last Pokemon to catch was Mawile in the Victory Road. And that was it, we caught every last Pokemon. We only have to evolve Bagon and we can finally take on the league. Bagon was actually pretty annoying to evolve. Bagon doesn't have a lot of moves, and also he's a Dragon type, and for people who doesn't know, Dragon types never have a fast rate experience level. They always have a very slow and tedious one. And not only that, but Bagon is weak by himself before evolving to Salamence, just like his other evolution, which I didn't even take the time to learn his name. But at last, Bagon evolved, and we were able to go against the league. The league was not very hard. I mean, remember that we have a level 70 Rayquaza, a Salamence, a Mudkip, a lot of very good Pokemon, so the league was no challenge at all. Even maybe easier than the previous gyms, to tell you how easy it was. But that was it. That's the end of the challenge. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. It's been incredible to record it, very hard. It was new for me actually, I've never tried this before. It is by far the video that I worked the most on, and I would really appreciate it if you just took the time to subscribe, to share and to like. So please do so. As a matter of fact, I take this more seriously than I take my exams. Tell you how bad it is. I have to say that this challenge was actually pretty fun. Yes, some part of the challenge were very frustrating, feebas, but most of it was actually very chill, just me watching friends and playing Pokemon, and that was it. If you wanna try this challenge, then definitely do so. However, you have to be aware that it is going to take a lot of times, and I mean a lot of time. You're going to discover new Pokemon, you're gonna discover new ways of playing Pokemon, and also how to catch them, new evolutions that you didn't know, such as Whismur. I didn't know that Whismur will evolve into an Exploud. I mean, how the fuck does this tiny pink ball will evolve into this badass Pokemon, you know? Like, how is that possible? How? And that was very fun for me to do. So thank you very much for watching this video. I've worked so hard on this video, so please take the time to subscribe and to like. It doesn't take any time for you guys, so I beg of you to do so. Thank you very much and have a blissful day, guys.